In the last class, we discussed in detail about the decimals, and before that we discussed a bit about the fraction. But today we will discuss the remaining portion of fraction and will solve a lot of examples regarding that. Okay, so we've already discussed what are fractions, how can we actually play with fractions. But today we will start with the operations on fractions. So let's start with the basic one, addition. Let's suppose we have two fractions, and for example, we have a over b and c over b, right? In this case, we are having same denominator. So addition is very simple, right? That whenever denominator is same, just add the numerator over. This is a plus c over b, right? For example, we have 1 by 2 plus 2 by 3. So addition is very simple. This is 1 plus 2 divided by, this is 3 by 2. So this is 1 plus 3 divided by 2, that is 4 by 2, and result is 2, right? This scenario is very simple. But for example, if you are having a different denominator, like for example, we are having 1 over 2 plus 1 over 3. In this case, first take the LCM of the denominator. What is LCM of denominator 2 and 3? That is 6, right? So try to come up with equivalent fractions having 6 denominator. So how can we have 6 denominator in this first one? If we multiply and divide this by 3, so 3 divided by 3 into 1 by 2. And how can we have 6 denominator in this one? If we multiply and divide this by 2, so this will become 3 by 6 plus 2 by 6, right? Now denominator is same. You can simply add these up. So this will be 3 plus 2 into 5 by 6. Right, so just takeaways, if you are having a common same denominator, just add up the numerators. When you're having a different denominator, just take the LCM of those and just convert those into equivalent fractions. Because if you just proceed further, this will result again in 1 over 2, right? So it doesn't matter. And just add that up. This was the case for the addition. Similar case will be for the subtraction with only difference of the sign. If I take the same example, if I subtract this, this will become 1 minus 3 minus 2 by 2, and the result is 1. Likewise, if I take minus here, this will become 3 minus 2, this will become 1 by 6, right? So any confusion in addition and subtraction part? It's very simple.
No.
Okay, so let's move to the multiplication. When we are having, let's suppose we are multiplying two fractions and the values are very small. For example, this is 2, 3, 4, and 6. You can straightforward multiply these. This is 8 by 18, right? And you can just get to the least form afterward. But when you're having a greater values, for example, when you are having a values like 12 over 15 into 18 over 21, instead of multiplying first, just form the factors first. Just perform the prime factorization. What is the prime factorization of 12? That is 2 square into 3, right? The prime factorization
Or
of 15.
we can just simplify this.
Yes, I'm just exactly saying that. Just prime factorize first, and just whatever the common terms are, just remove that, and in the end you will get a very simplified form of multiplication. But when you're having very smaller values, doesn't matter, straightforward multiply. But when you're having a bigger values, first perform the prime factorization and then proceed further. All right.
Yes.
Okay, for example, if we have an integer multiplying with a fraction, let's suppose we have a into b by c. So you can also think of this as a over 1, right? So just multiply this a into b over 1 plus c, right? So this will be simple a b over c. Okay, so let's move to the division part. I'm quickly moving out of this because this is very simple. And if you have any one of you in confusion, please let me know. Okay, so in division, if we are dividing any fraction with other, in actual we are multiplying with the reciprocal of that fraction. For example, first of all, what is the reciprocal of A over B? Fraction A over B.
B over A.
Yeah, we are actually flipping that down. This is 1 over A over B, and in return, this will move upward and this will be B over A, right? Okay, for example, if I do this way, 1 over 2 divided by 3 by 2, what will be the answer?
1/3, 1 over 3.
1 over 2 times 3 over.
Okay, so we have 1 over 2 divided by 3 by 2, right? And
Yes.
just take the reciprocal of this and multiply with the above fraction. This is 1 by 2 into 2 by 3. And the result is 1 by 3, right? And now, for example, we have integer above fraction. What can I do now? For example, we have A over B over C. This is again same case, just A into reciprocal of B over C, that is C by B. Please mute yourself, A C over B, right? Okay, and the one last case is when you're having a fraction over integer. For example, we have A over B fraction divided by integer. You can think of this as A over B fraction into a fraction with a, not exactly a fraction, with a 1 over C. You can think of C in denominator as this way, right? As this a fraction. So simply A over BC, right? This is in denominator. So I just think of this as a fraction, 1 over C. So we are just multiplying two fractions, A over B into 1 over C, right? So you get A over BC. But just an idea about the proportion. And for example, we have A over B is equal to C by D, right? In actual, both are these are equivalent proportions, but equivalent fractions, what that mean? That A must be equal to C with some multiple number. So that could be 1, that could be 2, that could be fraction, that could be negative, doesn't matter. But likewise, B should be also be a multiple of D, and both are having same multiple. That's why this will cancel out and result is same. For example, we have 1 by 2. This can also be written as 2 by 4. In this case, we have 2 into 1 and 2 by 2. This will cancel out. So our case K is equal to 2. So again, 1 over 2 is equal to 1 over 2, right? Okay, so there are certain, not exactly properties, but I want to show you how we could, what can I say? Twist this form. For example, we have A over B over C over D. Can we write as B over A is equal to D by C? Quickly, yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
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 And again, I'm repeating,
Yes.
whatever the fraction is, denominator can never be 0. Just keep that constraint in mind. This is actually known as invert tangent. You don't need to know this. I'm just so better don't. This might cause confusion. Okay. So next one is, we can also write this as A over C is equal to B over D. We are just cross multiplying. C is moving to this
Yes.
side, and
Yes.
we can also write this as A over B is equal to C plus D over D. The result will be same.
Yes.
Yes.
And we can also write as A minus B over B is equal to C minus D over D. And the last thing is, we can also write this as A over plus B is over A minus B is equal to C plus D over C minus D,
Yes.
right? So this is actually, please mute yourself, there is a distraction. This is actually invertendo form.
I have a question.
Yes.
How are we writing a plus b upon b? Can you give
This
an
is just a
instance
form of
that?
this. This is a modified form of this.
How?
For example, just give which one? Third part or fourth part?
Yes. No, for you means for third part, I will get the.
Okay, for example, we
multiplication.
have 2 by 3 is equal to 6 by 9, right? In this scenario, A is 2, B is 3, C is 6, and D is 9, right? So what is A plus B over B? This will be 2 plus 3 over 3. This is 5 by 3, right? And
Right.
C plus D over D will be equal to 6 plus 9 over 9, 15 by 9. Now, isn't
Right.
5 by 3 is equal to 15 by 9?
Right.
With K is
Right.
equal
Okay.
to 3 here, right? So this is just a form, because in some scenario, you can get help by this form, right? I'm just showing you the way. These are, this is actually a componendo form. This is dividendo. And last one is componendo dividendo. You actually don't know, need to know these names, but I'm just showing you that these could be twisted this way. You are just in some form, you're cross multiplying. In some, you are just taking the reciprocal, right? Okay, let's move forward. So the most
Is it
important,
compulsory that the fractions are equivalent, or any fractions we can apply these properties?
in case you are having this form, you can always use these properties. Keeping in
Okay.
mind constraint that this cannot, if one, you should keep one thing in mind. If A and C are 0, you cannot inverse this. Take inverse of this. Because if you have 0 over 1, can you take inverse of this? No.
No.
So just keep this in mind, right? Okay. So just give an idea about the word fraction, the word problems, because most of the time the fractions are asked using the word problems. We will discuss these using example just to give you idea about two things you must see: is and of. These two are very common words used in the word problems, especially for the fractions. So when is used and when of is used. For example, if I say A over B of C, so that you what this mean? This means A over B into C, right? So of is usually used for multiplication. And the second one is. The second one is, and for example, if I say the result of the month is this one. So is usually used for equal, showing the equality sign, right? So these are
Equals to.
just two things you must know. Okay, so now we'll move to the question solving part. And I've gathered a lot of questions and just want to show you how the question could be twisted for the fraction part, right? It is visible to all.
Yes.
We discussed this question last time, right? This question last time. Okay, so now try this question. Again,
Not audible.
now try this question.
Yes, visible.
And don't use calculator.
Yes, right now
Try
clear.
to try to form some sort of relation in this. Whatever you can do with this, try to play with these words instead of using calculator. You just 1 minute to solve this.
C.
A.
So we have
A.
we have A and C.
A.
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 Okay, some more words. So
It's
answer, yes,
A.
yes. So this is very simple
A.
question. Again, we have 4 times 1 divided by 3 times 1. Can you write this as 1, 1, 1, 0 plus 1 over triple 1? So this will be 10 plus 1 divided by triple 1, right? Likewise, in other, in the other we have 1 1 4 5 divided by 3 4. Again, we can write this as 1 1 1 0 plus 1 divided by 3 4. So this is 10 plus 1 over 1 1 1, right? Now you have to 10 plus 1 over triple 1, 10 plus 1 over tetra 1, right? So it is a quantity comparison question. We don't know whatever the equalities, inequalities between, but you can perform the addition and subtraction because these are positive. All of the operations on both sides. Just subtract 10 from both sides. These will cancel out, and we are left with 1 over triple 1 and 1 over tetra 1. Now just cross multiply these. So this will be tetra 1 and this will be triple 1. So that's why quantity A is greater. Got the point?
Yes.
We will have one whole session about the what are the possible strategies you can apply for a quantity comparison question. It's a very interesting one, and there are multiple strategies which you can apply in this question, which vary from scenario to scenario, right? But the best one is whenever you're quantity comparison, you can always try to simplify first.
So sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Question now.
You are not audible. Is there an issue from my side or from your side?
No, he isn't audible.
Okay, so let's move forward. We'll take question a bit later then. Just solve this again, a very basic question. Try to solve this question now. And be quick.
P by 8. 3 over
3 over 8. Okay, so one answer is 3 over 8. Any other answer? Anyone is still solving or shall I solve? Okay, so we have this question.
Is it
55
8 by
upon 20.
15?
21 by
21 by
21 by 57.
8 by 21.
8
Yeah,
by
55.
21 by 55.
8 by 19.
8 by 19. Oh, wow, we are having multiple answers. Okay, let's solve this question now.
21 by 55.
Yes, 21 by 55 is the answer. Okay, so okay, so for this question we have 1 over 3 minus 1 over 3 minus 1 over 3 minus 1 over 3, right? So proceed from here. What is the answer here? This is 3 plus 3, 9, 9 minus 1, 8 by 3, right? So this will be 1 over 3 minus 1 over 3 minus 1 over 8 over 3, right? So we have fraction in the division. Just take the reciprocal and multiply in the above. So this will be 1 over 3 minus 1 over 3 minus 3 by 8, right? Again, take the
Yes.
proceed further. This will be 1 over 3 minus 1 over, this will be 24 minus 3, 21 by 8, right? Again, just take the reciprocal. This will become 3 minus 8 by 21, right? So
63 minus 8 over 21. I'm telling you the solution.
what is the solution?
63 minus
8
8
by
over
21.
21.
So this will be 21 over 55. Everyone got this? Whoever did this wrong?
Yes, got it.
62.
Do
Okay,
we have double session today or a single session?
it depends what all of you are up to today.
We can have the makeup session on weekend if it is feasible for you.
It depends if I get time on the weekend, but I can't say any, but I can't confirm that for now. But still, if you want, I could try to do that, but it will be a bit difficult for me. But we will see. Okay. Try this question. This is again a very simple question. And try to do this with logic instead of just substituting values.
This is a to power 2.
Yes, A is greater than A square, B is greater than B
Yes.
square, is this way.
Is it B?
You are saying B?
Yes.
Okay. Any other answer? Okay. First of all of you can identify what interval is actually asked for all of these.
All of them are less than 1.
And greater than what value?
0.
0.
0, yes.
And if you are still confused, the shortcut way is we have A square less than A. So just move A to the left, that will become A square minus A less than 0. Just take A comma, this will become A minus 1 less than 0. Just equate both of these 0. So A is equal to 0, A is equal to 1, right? Now proceed from right direction. This is positive, negative, positive. And the question is saying less than 0. That's why we are having only this range. We will discuss this in detail in the inequality part. Okay, so we have all of these between 0 and 1. This means all A, B, C, and D, all are a fraction, right? Okay, so let's see first one. We have 1 over A plus B over something, whatever the value is. Leave this, right? Why I'm saying leave this? Because A is fraction, right? And 1 over fraction is always greater than 1, right? Because A is fraction, 1 over fraction is always greater than 1, right? So we have one value greater than 1 and some value, whatever, doesn't matter, some value. So in short, we have value for A greater than 1. right? And the second part is reciprocal of this value. So any value greater than 1, if you take the reciprocal of that value, that will always be less than 1. So that's why quantity A is straightforward a greater value. Got the point?
Could you please repeat it again?
Okay, I just told you that all of these are fractions between in the range of 0 and 1, right? Okay, so in quantity A, we have 1 over A plus, just leave this. I call this some value. Doesn't matter whether it's fraction or the integer, whatever the value is. We have first 1 over A. A is actually fraction, and 1 over fraction is always greater than 1, right? You're agreeing on this point?
Yes, I am.
So overall, this result of this value is greater than 1. Because first, the thing is all of these are positive. So this will always be a positive value. Positive value plus greater than 1 value is always greater than 1, right? Second one is the reciprocal of this whole value. And the reciprocal of any value greater than 1 will be a what?
Less than 1.
A fraction value in range of 0 and 1, right? So with logic, this
Right.
can be solved in within second, but if you start substituting values and checking different scenarios, that will take a lot of your time. Got the
Can
point?
you
for this
explain?
question?
Can you please explain that property again, where you said that A is greater than A square? So A should
Okay, let
be
me show you.
greater than 1.
I want this to explain in the, but let me.
I got the same answer by substituting values.
But never go for substitution in this scenario. Okay. You are saying how
Okay.
I come up with range of 0 to 1? You are saying this
Yes,
thing?
yes.
One way is which we discussed, that we will see that 0 to 1 and greater than 1, minus 1 and less than 1. First of all, you should know these properties, but in case you don't know,
Mhm.
and for example, we have this scenario and we have A greater than A square, right? So let's suppose take A square to the left. This will become A minus A square greater than 0. Just take A common. This will be A into 1 minus A greater than 0, right? Now, okay. If I multiply a negative sign on both sides, right? Because if I take common negative minus 1 common in this will become A into minus 1 into A minus 1 less than 0. Because if you multiply inequality with a negative sign, the sign is actually inversed, right? So we have A into A minus 1 is less than 0, right?
Yes.
So now just substitute both of these equal to 0. What will be the answer for first one? 0. And for second one, 1.
Minus 1.
Why? A minus 1 is, I'm saying just equate both to 0. A is equal to 0
Okay.
and A minus 1 is equal to 0. In that scenario, A is equal to 1, right? Now just draw a number line. First of all, this is actually a sine curve. What is actually a sine curve? This is like this way. This is actually a sine curve, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, right? So we have 1 and 0. So for this, just this is actually a wavy curve for shortcut. Always start from a positive direction, from the extreme right, then move to the negative direction, and then move to the positive direction. The question is saying we have values less than 0, which means the result is negative, and we have negative result only in one scenario, between 0 and 1. There is a limitation in this form, which I don't want to discuss right now, but that is when we are having in the same thing, if we have, let's suppose, A into A minus 1 square less than 0. Whenever we have a even powers, in that scenario, there will be some iteration in this, but we will discuss that while discussing the inequalities. But for timing, you got how I come up with 0 and 1.
Yes.
Now we have already come up with a 0 and 1. So now you can solve this question, right?
Yes.
Either logically or by substitution, whatever the favor you most. Okay. Again, very simple question. Just quickly solve this. You have just 30 seconds for this question.
C.
Same. C.
C.
Both are equal.
Yes, it is equal.
D,
Yes, both are equal.
D,
D or C? The
C.
answer to this is C.
C.
And if you are
C.
at first confused in this, just because all consider, no, not with that. Okay, we have A over B plus B over A into A over B minus B over A, right? This is actually, if you consider this A, this is B, not A. For example, X, Y, this is X, this is Y. So we have X plus Y into X minus Y. And this is formula, which is X square minus Y square, right? This is a very common algebraic formula. Now, what we have in place of X, that is A over B whole square. And in place of Y, we have B over A whole square, right? So this is actually A over B minus B over A. And if exactly, I believe you all of you know about this, the square root is actually the power 1 over 2, right? So 1 over 2 and 2 will cancel out. So this will be A over B minus B over A, right? Just subtract these two with different bases. Just take the LCM and try come up with the equivalent fractions and proceed for this will be A square minus B square over AB. And if you open this, this will be A plus B into A minus B over AB, which is same as the quantity B, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 We are too slow. Let's proceed quickly now. Okay. Just give answer just by saying what is the answer.
A.
Quantity A.
A.
Quantity A. Okay, so the answer is quantity A. No. First of all, both are
Not
integers.
defined.
Both are just integers. It is never mentioned these are
D.
positive or these are negative.
The answer is D.
Yes,
Not
we
defined.
could have both
D.
positive, we could have both negative. In that case, we have a positive answer. We have positive fraction. So result is greater than 1. This means in first scenario, A is greater than B when the result is positive. Both are positive. But when both are negative, and if you see the inequality, if any one of these, B is negative, if you multiply with B, the sign will change. In that scenario, B is greater than A. That's why the answer is D. So never assume just by seeing the, see whether what these are integer, these are number, these are fraction, these are non-zero, or whatever the value is, non-negative, non-positive, clearly see that point. Okay. So or God, how come with D for this?
Yes.
Can you explain it again?
Okay, let me ask you one thing first. We have 3 over 2 greater than 1, right? We can also do this way, minus 3 over minus 2 greater than 1. because minus and minus will cancel out. So in both of these scenarios, the result is greater than 1. In first scenario, quantity A is 3 and quantity B is 2. So that's why A is greater. But in second scenario, quantity A is minus 3 and quantity B is minus 2. And minus 2 in actually is greater than minus 3. That's why the answer to this is D. Right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, just tell me quickly what is the answer for this.
Answer B.
Answer B. Okay, any other answer?
B.
Yes, answer this is B.
Quantity B.
Yes, we have A over B less than 1. Less than 1 means this could be fraction and this could be negative, right? But we can clearly negate the negative one because we have B square, right? And square is always positive. And how can we come up with a negative answer less than 1 if one quantity is positive and one is negative? Or this is positive, this is negative. So in that scenario, negative scenario, this is always negative and this is always positive. So in that scenario, B is greater. If we see the scenario of 0 to 1, that's mean A over B is less than 1, which means B is greater than A, right? So that's why in that scenario as well, B is greater than A. So in both scenario, in fraction and the negative one, B is always greater than A, right? This is just based on intuition. Okay.
You can directly multiply B square as well, right?
You are directly multiplying B here?
B square on both sides in that inequality because B square is greater than 0 always.
Yes, you can do that. You can let me ask you one thing. We have, let's suppose, A over x square greater than B over x square. Which quantity is greater? And we are comparing A and B. For example, quantity A and quantity B.
A is greater than B. If
D.
A is greater than B, A is greater than B.
D.
D answer.
A is greater
No,
than
no.
B.
A is
A
greater
is
than
greater-
B.
A
D.
is greater than B.
In this scenario, just see that, first of all, I told you that this can be 0, right? And this is square. This means that denominator is always positive in both scenarios. We are having a positive denominator. You can just multiply x square on both sides. So these will cancel out. A is greater than B. But if I just change the scenario, if I have A over x cube and I have B over x cube,
Can't be determined.
says A is,
Can't be determined.
can we compare A and B now?
No.
No, no, no. Can't be determined.
D. Answer would be
Yes.
D.
In this case, answer is D because this is a cube. This is an odd power. And odd power of the negative number is also a negative number, right? So in case we are having a positive number inside this, if we multiply with x cube, A is greater than B. But if we are having a negative number and if we take the cube and multiply, this sign will become the opposite one. So that's why just keep in mind the difference of the powers, either even or even odd, or either odd, right?
So we should never consider 0, right?
No, we can't consider 0 because if we are given this scenario, if we are given if in question they are given some expression, you must substitute values relevant to that expression. If you take x0, this expression don't hold.
Okay.
So in such cases,
But
when you are given, yes.
In this scenario in which the A upon x square, here as A and B are non-zero, it can be positive or negative. So the answer will be D or B.
No, this is here, right? No, this is here now.
Yeah. So it's A greater than B, but A can be positive or negative.
You're asking about
In
A or
that-
B. For timing, we are considering at first A and B are these are positive.
Okay.
At first, we are considering that A and B are positive.
Okay.
I'm just wanted to show you a point regarding x square and x cube,
Okay, concept. Okay.
right? Okay. This is very simple. I will share the slide further. You can solve it. Try this question. And you have only 30 seconds to solve this. So what's the answer?
D.
D.
One answer is D. Any other answer?
D. D.
D.
Yes, the answer to this is D. The question is that we have some fraction plus 1/5 equal to C by D, right? So there could be multiple scenarios. In first scenario, if I consider A over B equal to 4/5, so 4/5 plus 1/5 is equal to 5/5, right? Which is equal to 1, right? In that scenario, both our quantities are equal, right? But if I consider A over B less than 4/5, let's suppose I consider 3/5 plus 1/5 is equal to 4/5. In that scenario, D is greater. I mean, quantity B is greater. And in third scenario, if I consider value greater than 4/5 and add 1/5 in that, the result is a value greater than 1. So when a value is greater than 1, the numerator is always greater than denominator in having a positive integer case, right? So in that case, quantity A is greater. That's why the answer to this is D. But if I just change the question, if I make this 1 instead of A over B, if I have A over B plus 1 is equal to C by D. Now tell which quantity is greater.
D. D again.
A.
Quantity A.
Yes,
Quantity
quantity A. Because we are having one and other is fraction.
But you have not said that is positive fraction. It can be negative also.
That's the point. And no one noticed that.
It's
I'm saying
square
it's
at
D.
the end
It's
of the
D.
day.
Yes, I'm saying this here. But
Then negative will be positive.
No, no. So if A by B is negative, that fraction becomes less than 1. No? You
yes,
don't know.
that's the point. For example, if I have minus 1/2
But
plus
if
1
it
is equal to what? 1/2. And now just take the square. Got the point?
Yes. Got
And
it.
in case if these are positive integers, if are positive, then in that scenario, you will have quantity A is greater.
Yes.
So always keep in mind what is the nature of variable given. And most of the time, the mistake is done based on the nature of a number, nature of the variable, right? Shall I proceed further now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You will just solve this a bit later. Not this one. Try this question. this is another type of question which is asked, in which you are asked to just come up with some sort of approximation. Try this question now. Okay, so what's the answer to this question? No one has come up with the answer till now.
A.
Yes, it's answer A.
A.
Okay, so A is the answer. The point is how you come up with A.
So the sum is less than 10 times 1 by 20 and greater than 10 times 1 by 30.
Yes, because there's a concept of maximum and minimum. In that concept, you always consider worst case scenario. So what is the worst? If I ask worst case scenario, what is the minimum possible value? What could the minimum possible value? Because the smallest value in this is 1 over 30, right? Because we are taking the reciprocals. And
Yes.
the minimum value is, let's suppose we are having all of 10 values as 1 over 10, 30. Likewise, what is the maximum value? The worst case scenario for maximum
1
value.
over 21.
1 over
1
21.
over 21.
All of the was 1 over 21. So this will be
But
1
one
over
question.
3. Yes.
This is
So
consecutive
yes,
integers.
10
Yes.
consecutive
Yes,
integers.
I'm getting
So
your point.
consecutive.
This question is asking for
Yeah.
approximation, not the exact value.
Okay.
That's why in case of
Okay.
approximation, always
So
go
we'll
for
take
the,
out the range.
yes. Whenever you're asked to find the possible answer, the approximation, try to come up with the range, the maximum value and the minimum value. Okay, so this is 1 over 3. This is 1 over 2.1, right? So our whatever the sum is greater than 1 over 3 and less than 1 over 2.1. And this 1 over 2.1 is actually less than 1 over 2, right? So in short, sum is greater than 1 by 3 and less than 1 over 2, which is in actual A, right? So our value will lie in between these.
Yes.
Just leave this. Just move to this question. Now let's, at first we just discuss these type of questions, then a sort of approximation. And now let's move to the other type, word problems. Let's try to solve this question.
9/4 into n d.
Yes, exactly 9/4.
4 then, yes.
Anyone of you got this?
Yes.
Yes.
9/4.
D.
This is a very simple question, 9/4. So there could be two possible ways to solve this question. One is by just considering the variables, and one is just by assuming some values. And usually by assume value, we see all of the fraction in this and just see the LCM of those denominator of those fraction and come up with that value or multiple of that value. And for example, just see the question first. When n, first of all, we have n liters of fuel were added to the tank that was already 1/3 full. So we have a tank, and let's call the capacity of tank as, for example, C. C is the actual capacity of that tank. And when we are adding, just give me 1 minute. Okay, sorry, there was an issue. Okay, so we have a tank, and let's call the capacity of tank as C, right? And we are adding n liter of fuel in that tank, right? And in that tank, that is already 1/3 full. What this mean? The tank is already 1/3 of the capacity, right? So tank is already filled to 1/3 of capacity, right? Haven't got this till now? We have tank having
Yes.
filled to 1/3 of capacity, and we are adding n liters that on that. And the result of that, after adding n in that, the tank has filled to 7/9 of capacity, right? So we have this equation, n liter added 1/3 of capacity, which is already filled, and result of this, we come up with the 7/9 of the capacity, right? So n will be equal to 7/9 of capacity minus 1/3 of capacity. So what is the LCM of this? This is 9. Again. Okay, so this is 9. This is 7C minus 3C, right? So n will be equal to 4C/9. And question asks, what is the capacity of tank in terms of liters, in liters, right? The capacity is equal to 9/4 n, right? This is very first way, by assuming the variables and proceeding that way. Everyone got this, what I did here?
Yes.
And the other one is, we are, okay, so in one scenario, tank is 1/3 full. In other scenario, 7/9 full. So let's come up with the valuable value for the capacity of tank. Such value must be divisible by 3 and 9. So better take the LCM of that. What is LCM of 3 and 9?
9.
So let's capacity equal to 9, right? So we are adding n liters, and tank is already 1/3 full. So 1/3 of 9, and result is 7/9 of capacity 9. So n will be equal to 7 minus 3 equal to 4. Now n is equal to 4. The question is saying, what is the capacity of tank? Now substitute n in place of these, and straightforward, if you substitute n as 4, the result is 9, which is our capacity, right? So you can proceed both ways, either by using the variable or by using the some values. In some scenarios, it is, in most of the scenarios, it is better to just come up with some value. Okay, so let's move to the bit difficult question now. This was really simple question. Okay, try this question. Okay, so you want me to proceed for 2-hour class today or 1-hour class in the weekend? What will be the suggestion?
5/6.
I'm asking something different now. I'm asking the question that whether we should move with the 2-hour class of today or 1 hour of the for today and 1 hour for next any weekend day.
1 hour in the weekend.
Either we can do it on the weekend or we can just like divide the class into halves. For example, we can go with 1 hour and 30 minutes class on a single day and 1 hour or 30 minutes class
Yes,
on the
usually it's
other
already
day.
taken around 1 hour 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So it's more probably really compensated that way. But yeah, that would be a bit better to just for some days, depending upon the lecture, we can just increase the duration for a period in weekdays.
Yes, we can do that.
Because for today, I just come up with a lot of questions. This is just a third type of question. And after that, there are plenty of such questions. Okay, just solve till now this to deal with this question, and from for tomorrow we will complete the lecture. Okay, so just solve this question.
5/6.
What is the answer you are saying? 8/6? 5/6?
5/6.
Okay, 5/6.
5/6.
Okay, so two answers, 5/6, 5/6. This is a very simple question. The question we have jar x and jar y, right? For example, this is jar x and this is jar y. It is a better idea to visualize the scenarios. So in that case, you won't be able to make some mistakes in that. So question is saying jar x is 1/6 full of water. For example, if I consider the capacity of this jar is x, smaller x, and capacity of a jar is smaller y. The question is saying jar x is 1/6 of water. So let's the capacity, filled capacity is 1/6 of x, and jar y, which have half the capacity of jar x, right? So y will be equal to x/2, right? Capacity of jar x, half of that, right? And is 1/2 full of capacity. So this is 1/2 filled with 1/2 of capacity, right? Okay, so the next one is if the content of jar x is poured to jar y, we pour this to jar y. Jar y will fill to what fraction to its capacity? That's for the question, right? Okay. So what should we do now?
So take the LCM and consider a value.
At
Replace
first,
by 2y.
what you are saying?
Replace x by 2y. So then
Answer 3/4.
it will be y
Answer
by
is
3.
3/4, 5/6.
5/6.
Okay.
5/6.
I'm saying x equal to 2y. So you can make it 1/3
Half of x
We can substitute the
y by
value
3.
of x
value, yes.
in first equation.
Okay. Multiple answers. Okay. So capacity of x is what? Capacity of x is x, and
2y.
capacity of y is x/2. Or for time being, just consider this as just the way he's saying. Okay. You are saying if I call this as this as 2x, so this will be x, right?
Yes.
And this is
Yes.
filled to 1/6 of capacity. So this is filled actually x/3 right now.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is filled 1/2 of capacity, right? So this is just filled x/2 now, right? Now we are saying that we are just if the content of X is poured to jar Y, right? If we have jar X content as X plus 2, and we are just pouring the content of X in Y,
X over 3.
right?
Yes,
So
X over 3.
what is that? Is X over 3. So what is the answer of this?
5x by 3. 5x by 6.
5x by 6. Okay. So what the question is saying, jar Y will be filled to what fraction of its capacity, right? This is what the jar is Y is filled after putting from jar X to in that. And what is the actual capacity of jar X, jar Y?
So X.
1 by 2.
Not 1 by 2.
X.
X will cancel out and this will be 5 by 6. Now see, listen. We have two jars, X and Y. And capacity of jar X is 2x. And capacity of jar Y is half of that. That is X. Right? It is filled to 1 over 6. It is filled to 1 over 2. And just pour from X to Y, whatever the result is, that is the new filled capacity of jar Y. And the fraction is, the question is saying jar Y will be filled to what fraction of its capacity, right? So new, whatever the new quantity filled divided by actual capacity.
Okay. So is 1 by 2 full of water? Are we using that somewhere?
Yes.
In the question, it says 1 by 2 full of water.
Yes. We are considering for Y as X over 2. X is capacity of Y and it is filled to 1 over 2 of capacity, which means X over 2. Try this question.
D.
E.
So maybe E.
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 Okay, so all of you are saying it's E, right?
Yes.
Okay, so is this easy question? Probably very easy question. Okay. You have 4 extra large sandwiches of exactly the same size. First of all of these are having same size and there are 4 in quantity, right? Ordered for M students and M is greater than 4. 3 of sandwiches were evenly divided among the students. We have 3 sandwiches, right? And these are evenly divided for each. Let's suppose this is for M, this is for M. And the last one is And since 4 students did not want any one of the 4 sandwiches, it was even divided among the remaining students. So this one is divided into all students other than these 4 students. So if some person ate one piece from all of sandwiches, so what will be one piece from one sandwich? That is 1 over m. One piece from this is 1 over m. One from this 1 over m, and one from this will be 1 over m minus 4, right? So this will be 3 by m plus 1 over m minus 4. So just take the LCM of this, and this will be m into m minus 4, 3 into m minus 4 plus 1 into m. So this will be 4m minus 12 divided by m into m minus 4, which is exactly E.
Yes.